Good evening and welcome to our webinar about Artists in Schools grants. My name is Cheryl Miki and I'm a program consultant here at MAC. The Manitoba Arts Council acknowledges that it carries out its work on the land of Indigenous nations throughout Manitoba. Our office is located on Treaty 1 territory, the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, Dene, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We recognize privilege disparities. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Here at the Manitoba Arts Council, we're committed to an approach that respects and recognizes the distinct worldview and creative culture of Indigenous communities, while aiming to make Indigenous artistic expression a source of pride for all Manitobans. We're recording tonight's presentation, but we will not be recording the question and answer period at the end. And if you just give me 1 second, I'm going to share my screen with you. Here we go. All right, all about artists in schools. So today's presentation, we're just going to do a quick overview of the Artists in Schools grant, the purpose of the grants, the project parameters, eligible expenses, grant amounts, school contributions, school commitment forms, the assessment process, and some resources for getting help with applications. And following that, we'll go to a question and answer period. So if you've got questions that come up along the way, feel free to put them into the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. All right. So MAC grants, as you may know, the Manitoba Arts Council funds the creating and sharing of the arts throughout the province. So our grants are categorized based on the type of activity that's undertaken in the projects. So creating art or sharing art, learning or studying the arts. The Artists in Schools grant program is located within the share stream. So here it is in a nutshell, just the overall top-down view. So Artists in Schools funds collaborative projects between artists and teachers to deliver arts education to students. There are 2 deadlines per year, June 5th, and this is for projects from September to June of the school year, and October 5th, and this is for projects in the second half of the school year from January to June. The grant amounts per project. So if there's 1 artist involved in the project, the grant amount is $7,500. And if there are 2 or more artists working on one project collaboratively, then you can apply for up to $15,000. So usually schools can only participate in 1 project per school year, but because of delays and things with COVID-19, we're letting schools apply to 2 projects in the 22-23 school year. Artists, however, can participate in multiple projects per year. And the artists can also submit multiple applications to each deadline. And this is the only grant program that we have where you can actually put in multiple submissions to a deadline. There is, however, an annual cap for artists. No artist can receive more than $30,000 in a year of MAC funding. And yeah, so you just want to keep that into consideration if you are submitting multiple grants. And also, one thing that is unique to this program is we have a northern / remote incentive, which is an additional $1,500 per artist if you are traveling to a northern or remote community. All right, so the purpose of Artists in Schools grants. So AIS grants are here for the benefit of Manitoba students. Our aim is to expose students to multiple artistic disciplines throughout kindergarten to grade 12. And we also know, I mean, the arts not only help kids realize their creative potential, but the arts are also an exceptional learning tool. Hands-on projects not only teach foundational concepts like shape or sound or movement, but they also can help solidify complex theories in math or sciences or technology. These are all wonderful benefits for students for, engaging hands-on in the arts. And through Artists in Schools, we also want to help students develop a lifelong passion for artistic expression. So how do we bring these kinds of experiences to students? Well, through collaborative projects between professional artists and teachers. So each of them, each participant brings something, to the table here. Artists have a wealth of artistic expertise. They use innovative methods and materials and are super creative. And teachers, they know the curriculum, they know the school environment, and they really know what their students need. By working together, artists and teachers can deliver something that's really unique and inspiring for this, for this group of students. So how do you find a partner to work with? If you are a teacher, there's a few things you can turn to. You can contact your local arts council. Most communities have some kind of an arts council or an arts group, and so they would know who the local artists are in the community. You might also look to your community centers or your local friendship centers who are running arts programming. They can also give you leads on local artists. If you are an artist, talk to any teachers that you might actually know, or parents with school-aged children. Would their school be interested in such a project, or developing something unique for the classroom? Or you can also call up your local school division office to see if they have a resource person who handles special projects for their school. Some school divisions do have this resource, and so if you call up the school division office, they can certainly put you in touch with who that might be. But another resource that we want to unveil here is our Artists in Schools website. So this is a website that we have created here. The address is artistsinsschools.ca. And on it, like, not only is there information about the grants and things, but there is this wonderful resource of artist listings. And the listings here, these are artists who are recognized by the Manitoba Arts Council as professional artists, Indigenous knowledge keepers, or arts and cultural professionals. These artists have experience working with students, and they're already in our online granting system, so they can easily apply for MAC grants. And so if you go to that website, you'll see that if you click on any of the artist pictures there, it will tell you not only the types of art that they do, but also there might be some samples there of the work. There'll be descriptions about the kinds of projects that the artists like to undertake with students. The contact information for the artist is there so that the teachers can reach out directly to make contact with these artists. It also talks to about which languages the artists work in. English, French, other languages are there as well, and also what regions of the province these artists are willing to work in. And you can sort and filter and do all kinds of wonderful things with it. So yeah, we're actually we're actually quite pleased with this resource tool. MAC is actively promoting this resource as well through our communications and marketing team and to the teaching community. And yeah, and so that's another way that artists and teachers who are looking to collaborate can find each other. So Artists in Schools grants, they are a partnership between an artist and a teacher, but it is the artist who ultimately submits the application. And so, but when I say artist, that can mean quite a few different things, right? So it can be professional artists. These are artists who have trained and who dedicate their life, and this is their vocation. And they are paid for their professional artistic works. We also have arts and cultural professionals. Now, these individuals, tend to be individuals who work in and around the arts. Perhaps they're not, exhibiting in galleries or, going on tour, those kinds of things, but they're making their careers in the arts. It can also be, when I say artists, I can also be referring to Indigenous knowledge keepers, who are eligible to come in for MAC to get grants. It could also be professional arts groups or professional arts organizations, and so these are all individuals who can apply through the Artists in Schools program. However, for arts organizations, if they are receiving MAC operating funding, they are actually ineligible for this particular grant program. But that's what I mean when I'm talking about artists. So the artist does do the submission, but the teacher's information does go into the application though. And we have a new feature this year in the application, and that is so that you can invite the teacher into the application right from the application form. And so what that means is you put in the teacher contact information, and then an email is sent directly to that teaching partner confirming their participation. It also sends them a link to the school commitment form, and then the teacher can then send that completed form to the artist and then upload that to the application. One of the things that this is going to allow us to do is it allows us to send notices about the grant award directly to both the teacher and the artist simultaneously. And it also allows us a mechanism so that teachers can provide feedback after the completed project. And I know that this is something that we have heard in the past as something that has been requested of us from artists who have participated in the past and from schools who have participated. So we're really pleased that we've been able to complete the work on this, and it is live right now. So what kinds of things can you do in an Artists in Schools project? Well, the Artists in Schools grant is really, really flexible in terms of, you can develop the kind of project that you feel will best meet the needs of everyone involved. And that is the artist, the teacher, and especially, of course, the students. And so there are a few requirements, of course. So projects must take place during class hours. The teacher needs to be present with the artist, and the school, the projects should be completed within one school year. Now, we do know, of course, with the pandemic, there have been projects that have been delayed and have been deferred. And so obviously, if there is an interruption to the project, we just ask that you contact me, we'll talk it out, we'll explore some options, that kind of thing. Another requirement that we have is that the majority of artists who are involved in the project must be Manitoban. But otherwise, I mean, the projects can be in person, they can be virtual, they can be outdoors. It really, I mean, you know, we are here at Mac, we're not so much concerned about the delivery method of the project. It really is about what the teacher and the artist feel is going to work for the students in that class. You can also decide how it is that you want to work. Do you want to work, a really intensive amount of time over a short period, for example, like let's say you're going into the school every day for a week or every day for 2 weeks, or do you want to do something that's longer term where let's say you're going into the school twice a month, but over a period of 6 months, to develop long-term, relationships or long-term work. It really is sort of up to you to decide what kind of project you're doing, how you want to deliver it, when would be the best for everyone involved. The hope is that there will be the project will build upon curriculum, will complement the learning that's happening in the classroom. But really, it really is up to the teacher and the artist to decide what structure, what kind of project is going to work best for the students involved. So grant amounts, again, so the projects that involve one artist can be funded up to $7,500. Projects with two or more artists working collaboratively on one project, you can apply for up to $15,000 per project. And so also, so there is a northern and remote incentive. Now, this is an additional $1,500 per artist that travels to a northern or a remote community to undertake that project. And so this travel, I mean, it doesn't have to be, just north, south, north, like it can be east, west, it can be from, as long as there's some travel involved and you're going to one of these communities, that additional funding is available. And that incentive amount is not, like, it's separate from the budget that you put together for the project. That's over and above. And it's not something that you have to apply for. It's something that is sort of triggered, if the grant is awarded and it is taking place in this community, that's triggered automatically. So what can the funds be used for, right? What kind of eligible expenses are there that you can claim as part of this grant? Well, professional artist fees while you're interacting with the students, right? There is no set rate for what those artist fees are. $50 an hour is pretty standard, but that's up to you guys to figure out what is your professional rate. You can also include artist time to plan, to prepare, to set up. Again, there's no set rate here. Traditionally, though, those sort of prep times are paid at a lesser rate than the professional artist fee. But again, that's up for you to decide how much time you need for to put the project and deliver the project. Also, of course, fees and honoraria to other contributors you might be working with, materials, supplies, equipment rentals. If there is equipment that needs to be purchased, only a portion of that can be claimed. But again, it's about what do you need to deliver this project. There is, of course, travel that can be covered by this grant as well. So mileage, if you're traveling more than 20 kilometers to get to the school, and then, of course, if you're traveling more than 100 kilometers to get to a school, there's car rental, flights, accommodations, meal per diems. Those kinds of travel expenses are eligible to be claimed, against this grant. And if there are other costs that you have, give me a shout and we'll talk about it and we'll find out what is eligible. And yeah, so yeah, the idea is that within, for 7,500 or 15,000, depending on the context, those funds are going to cover the costs of delivering the project that the teacher and the artist decide that they want to have for that set of students. Schools can also contribute to the project costs. Schools are encouraged to contribute financially, but I'll stress that the financial contribution is not mandatory. And the reason this is because we recognize that there are schools that do not have the resources financially to pay to contribute to these kinds of projects. And we don't want to see high need schools excluded from from this program just because of a financial barrier. So that's why we don't have a mandatory commitment. We do recommend that schools contribute, when they're able, up to, around 20% of the project costs. You can also, schools can also contribute in-kind material costs, and yeah, I mean, and also, if they can't contribute financially, in the school commitment form, we have a new section where we do ask schools to talk about how they are going to be supporting this project, right? How to talk about their commitment to the project, because that is important. And one thing we will say, of course, is that MAC budgets for our grants, they are what they are, and we never have as much money as we would like to give out. So the more that a school can contribute, or the more schools that can contribute, the more projects we can fund, and ultimately the more students we can reach, and the more students have access to all these really, really great opportunities. So I mentioned the school commitment form, and so the school commitment form is a required part of the application. And so the form provides details about the school's financial support, talks about how they're committed to the project. It's not a long form, but one of the things that is very, very important is that all of the artists and collaborators on the project need to be named on that form. And that's because when the school is signing this form, they are signifying that all the participants have met the clearance requirements needed to work in the school. And so that can include things like, police information or vulnerable record checks, child abuse registry checks. It can also include COVID-19 procedures that the school might have in place. So the school with this form is authorizing that these people have permission to work with their students. And of course, the school commitment form is to be signed by the school principal and then given to the artist to upload as part of the application itself. So after the application is done, it's submitted, then comes the assessment process. And so our grants here are assessed by external panels. And in the case of Artists in the Schools, the panel is comprised of teachers and professional artists, and they review the applications for looking at artistic and educational merit, impact for the students and for the community that they're in, and of course on the feasibility of the project. Now, the questions that the assessors use during that assessment, those are all available, and they are in the the AIS guidelines. And so you can find that in two places. One is on the MAC website. There's a PDF form, application preview and guidelines. And so in there, it lists all of the questions that you'll find in the application, as well as all of the questions that the assessors use when they are reviewing the applications as well. And so that might give you some insight as to what the assessors are looking for, when they're choosing which projects to fund. The other thing too, right, so assessment results, right? So, you submit them in June 5th, the results will be known by around mid-August. And then if you're submitting to the October 5 deadline, those results would be out mid-December as well. So if you do get an Artists in Schools grant, one of the things you want to do is you want to confirm the award amount. And so I say this because awards can be funded at a partial amount. And this doesn't always happen, but it does happen sometimes where honestly, it's usually because there isn't enough money in the budget to fund as many applications as would like, and so sometimes, or sometimes, maybe there's a budget concern or something like that within the application, and so the assessors might decide to award the grant, but at a partial amount. That partial amount will never be less than 75% of the amount that is asked for, because of course less than that, and then the project, may not actually be feasible. So, so just confirm the amount of the award. There's a funding agreement that the artist then needs to complete, and that's in the application portal. And after that comes the payment. And payment goes out in 2 installments. The first installment is 90% of the grant, and it's paid out around a month or so before the project start date. And then the remaining 10% is paid out after the final report is received and approved. So you have 18 months from the time that you are awarded the grant to submit the final report. And the final report is basically, it's not a text heavy thing. It's basically, how did it go? That kind of thing. There's a lot of how, a lot of sort of yes, no kind of questions, those kinds of things. And the report form is available online in the grant portal, same place where you submit the application. Okay, so results. If you do not receive a grant, we do recommend that applicants call MAC to get feedback from the assessors. And so the feedback could be, maybe there were some questions that the assessors just could not find the answers to, within the application, those kinds of things. You can use that feedback, and if you want, you can rework the application, and you can resubmit the project at the next deadline. Totally encourage that. And one thing I will say is, I know that putting grants in is a lot of work, and try not to be too discouraged. It's not personal. It is, we never can fund as many worthy projects as we would like, and that choice has to be made, and so yeah, but do contact us and get that feedback, from the assessment panel. So I will remind you that the next deadline is coming up on June 5th, which is, a few weeks away yet. The online applications are due 11:59 on that date. Please don't leave it to 11:59 though, because you never know, internet can be wonky. Maybe it takes a little longer, to upload the support materials, things like that, whatever. And yes, please, if you can, do it a day before or a couple days before, or during the day. So if something happens, you can give us a shout and we can work with you, that kind of thing. We also have and I'll talk about this in a not the very next slide, but the one after, we also have paper applications. And those paper applications can be submitted. We just ask that they be postmarked June 5th. So getting help with applications, it's, you know, it's a big process. We know that for sure. We have 5 program consultants here on staff at MAC, and you know, we love to help with applications. Absolutely. You know, you can call us, you can run project ideas past us. We can answer questions, you know, specific to an application or just general. We can read a draft of your application before you submit it, you know, go over it, make sure that everything is there, that it's complete. Maybe there are some areas that could be clearer, those kinds of things. You know, we're happy to do that. You know, just give us a shout, drop us an email, or contact our help desk to just say you would like to have this reviewed. No problem. And you know, Karis, you know, we can provide feedback from the assessors. We also have on our website, we have this really great blog. So shout out to our communications team who are back actually here in the background, Elise and Vi, woohoo. And so yeah, they have there's blogs posts about how to create an artistic resume. There's you know, about how to create, you know, your profile, you know, online at MAC, you know, to apply for grants. We have this really great section on interviews with past assessors and things that they look for in grants, and you know, and what it's like to be in the assessment room, those kinds of things. And of course, we have tips and tutorials for submitting applications as well. Yeah, so those are some of the things, some of the ways that we can help, you know, with the application process. We also have, and so here, you know, a note about accessibility. So yeah, like I mentioned before, you can get paper applications. You know, if you are interested in a paper application, we suggest you contact our help desk team as soon as possible, because of course it takes a little while. You know, you gotta send it to you, you gotta send it back, you know, those kinds of things. So but yes, they're definitely there, because we know that parts of the province are really limited with you know, with you know, poor internet access. And so yes, so please give us a shout if you want a paper application. We also have financial assistance for the granting process available as well. So this is for professional artists who are deaf, or who are living with a disability or a mental illness, and deaf and disability arts groups and organizations. And so through this assistance, you can access funds for disability-related supports and services that you might need to complete a profile in our online granting system, or complete an application, or submit a final report. Again, all of those are available through our help desk, and our so the help desk email address is there. It's helpdesk, all one word, at artscouncil.mb.ca, or you can call toll free at 1-866-994-2787. All right, and so yeah, yeah, we have a team at help desk. They're amazing. They're so great. So yeah, feel free to contact us anytime.